Under the velvet shroud of the African night, a shadow moved with lethal grace. She was a queen of the savannah, a leopardess. Yet tonight, the whispering wind carried not her dominance, but a trembling fragility, her injured cub trailing behind. The surrounding wilderness, though silent, felt like it was holding its breath, concealing a threat. Suddenly, the earth betrayed them. A sickening crack echoed as the fragile life slipped, tumbling instantly into the abyss below. Her heart hammered like war drums against her ribs. She lunged, claws tearing at the uncaring soil, her golden eyes widening in raw, primal panic. A fear that could make even death flinch. The fall was halted by a protruding root, a cruel mercy. The cub lay there, suspended over darkness, a tiny, whimpering speck of life clinging to a precarious, temporary sanctuary. Above, the leopardess froze. A sound tore from her throat. Not a roar of power, but a fractured, silent scream of a mother watching her world unravel. She paced the edge, a portrait of absolute, crushing despair, her lethal instincts rendered useless by the sheer drop. The physics were undeniable, the drop was too deep, the walls too steep. Her dominance meant nothing here. That pacing wasn't aggression, it was the frantic dance of grief. Have you ever felt powerlessness so heavy it crushes your soul? If this breaks your heart, like this video now. But a mother's instinct is a force that defies logic. Instead of accepting this tragic fate, she turned away from the abyss, her mind locking onto an unthinkable plan. She didn't flee into the safety of the bush. Her gaze shifted toward the forbidden lights flickering in the distance. The ranger camp? It was the territory of her greatest enemy, the apex predator she spent her life avoiding. Yet, with a resolve that chilled the air, she began to stalk toward the firelight. This wasn't just a choice, it was a gamble. Would you walk into the lion's den to save what you love? This wasn't just survival, it was a rebellion against nature's laws. Driven by a love deeper than fear, she breached the camp's perimeter, a ghost emerging from the darkness. Every muscle was tense, every sense screaming danger, yet she stepped into the circle of artificial light, exposing herself completely to the creatures she should fear. Mark, a veteran ranger with 20 years of scars, froze as the silhouette materialized. His hand instinctively drifted to his rifle, his breath catching in his throat. To him, this was an ambush. He saw a lethal killing machine invading his sanctuary, muscles coiled to strike. The air crackled with the electric tension of imminent violence. But the strike never came. Instead of a snarl, she lowered her massive head, her body language stripping away all aggression. A low, guttural sound escaped her, not a growl, but a plea. Mark's grip loosened. He didn't see a predator anymore. He saw a mother paralyzed by terror. The universal language of distress bridged the gap. It was a biological override. The raw chemistry of maternal desperation rewriting the rules of engagement. She turned, looked back, and waited. A clear, undeniable invitation to follow. She was betting her life on his humanity. If you believe in the power of trust to conquer fear, share this video. Let the world see that sometimes enemies are just allies waiting for a reason to connect. Mark grabbed his heavy rescue gear, his flashlight cutting a beam through the thick darkness, and followed the spotted ghost into the bush. The trek was surreal. A human following a lethal hunter through the dense, thorny scrub. Every shadow seemed to whisper danger. The silence was heavy, broken only by the crunch of boots, and the soft, almost imperceptible thud of paws. They reached the ravine, a jagged scar in the earth. The leopardess paced frantically at the edge, her eyes reflecting the moon like twin orbs of distress. Peering down, Mark saw the cub, motionless on the root, trapped by the sheer, crumbling shale walls. The wind whipped around them, carrying the scent of incoming rain. He knew the risk. The ground was unstable, and one slip meant joining the cub in the dark, unforgiving below. But looking into the mother's desperate, pleading eyes, the calculation changed. It wasn't just a rescue operation anymore, it was a sacred pact between species. He anchored the rope to a sturdy acacia tree, the rough hemp biting into his hands, and clipped his carabiner. He began the descent. His heart raced, balancing the fear of the fall, with the surreal presence of a wild predator watching his back. He lowered himself inch by agonizing inch into the abyss, the rope groaning under his weight. The descent was a nightmare of loose rock and blinding dust that choked his lungs. Below, the air was cold, smelling of damp earth and ancient fear. Above, the mother's silhouette cut against the moon, her anxious purrs vibrating through the ground like a low-frequency drum. He reached the ledge, sweat stinging his eyes, his boots slipping on the slick stone. The cub hissed, terrified, swiping with tiny claws. Mark froze, extending a hand, waiting in the gloom. It was a standoff of species, a test of wills. Then instinct shifted. The cub, sensing the intention beneath the fear, ceased its defiance and allowed the alien touch. Mark secured the harness, his hands shaking not from exertion but from the sheer weight of the moment. The climb back up was a grueling battle against gravity, every muscle screaming in protest. Did you know leopards can carry 3 times their body weight up a tree? Tonight, a human was carrying their future, hauling hope hand over hand. When Mark finally crested the edge, he collapsed, pulling the bundle of fur with him onto the grass. He quickly checked the cub, bruised, shaken, but miraculously alive. The moment he released the straps, the cub scrambled toward the mother. She didn't attack. She didn't flee. She began to lick the cub with frantic, tender strokes, checking every inch of him, purring like an engine. Then she stopped. Her golden eyes met Mark's for a lingering, timeless second. There was no aggression, only a profound, silent acknowledgement that transcended language. She nudged her cub, and together they melted back into the night, leaving Mark alone with the dying fire. He sat there breathless, realizing he hadn't just saved an animal. He had witnessed the purest form of devotion. In the wild, only the strong survive. But tonight, compassion was the greatest strength of all. This story proves that empathy isn't a human invention. It's the heartbeat of every living thing. When walls come down, miracles happen. If this story touched your soul, hit that like button and check out our other tales of nature's wonders. Kindness is a language everyone speaks,